Hey everybody, this is John, Julia's husband. Welcome back to the channel. And today what I want to talk to you about is how to hear the voice of God. Now, when you say that to a non-believer, a lot of times you're going to either see a weird look on their face or, inside their mind, they're thinking that you're crazy or who knows what they're thinking. But I know before I was a non-believer, and if somebody were to tell me that, I would think, okay, whatever, and I'd walk away and I'd think, oh, okay, they're hearing the voice of God. But I believe that once you follow God, you follow Jesus, that you tend to talk to him all the time, you tend to pray to him, and all these things are a way of growing closer to God. And I want you to think about it. If somebody never talks to you, do you talk to them? So a lot of people can't understand this because they're not close with God. But if you're someone who has a relationship with God, my process and how I hear from the voice of God is, first off, you got to get quiet because God's not going to scream to you. He's not going to yell to you. You're not going to hear him in the other room going, "Hey, John." He doesn't talk that way. God is very, very, I want to say, just really focused in how he goes about answering you or speaking to you. And a lot of times it's a very faint, thought that will come to your mind, or you'll see a vision of something, and it's not necessarily him audibly talking to you, where some people have heard that before. If you look through the Bible, especially when you look at the Old Testament, a lot of the prophets literally heard from the voice of God. God would appear to them and speak to them. So he can do that, but I don't know anyone that's happened to. So for me, I found that I get really quiet and I turn off all my social media. I turn off my internet. I don't do anything that's going to interrupt my thought or my connection with God. And I just sit and I get quiet. One of the things I do too is I repent, because I sin all day long, just like everybody. I'm a sinner, and that's why we need Jesus. So I repent, I ask for forgiveness, and then I just go to God with my life. I tell him things about my relationship with him and how it's helped me through the day, how I love him, and all these things. They all matter because you're establishing not only a friendship, but he's your father. He's your father figure. And he wants to help you. He wants to help you be prosperous. He wants you to be healthy. And so what you have to do is get quiet and just wait till you hear the voice of God. He'll speak to you, or he'll give you a faint thought in your mind. And for example, I know when I got saved, I would watch near-death experiences. People would die and see the other side. And one of the most common themes with every one of them was there was no language, no one spoke. They were thoughts that were downloaded into your mind. And this is how God will speak to you. He'll download a thought into your mind. And I'm going to give you some samples here in a minute, but I just wanted to make these points about what it is when you hear the voice of God, or how you might hear the voice of God. So my first example I'm going to talk about happened years ago. It was right around when I first got saved. And I told this to friends before, like I said, and they're going to think you're nuts. Like I told a couple friends in Chicago about it, and they laugh and think it's stupid. And even one of them confronted me the next day and told me how the guy was laughing about me. But you know what? I don't care. So what happened was I'm very familiar with my body, how it works, and I know when something's wrong. And I was trained in what's called trigger point therapy. I took a year and a half certification on getting knots and things out of the body and how to alleviate pain. So one day I had an issue with my shoulder and it just wouldn't go away, and I knew exactly what to do, and I needed to get a golf ball. And I was in the middle of downtown Chicago, and I just never got a chance to go out to Dick's Sports or any one of the sporting goods stores in Chicago, just because it's a pain to park. So I didn't get around to doing that. And my shoulder kept bugging me, and I just kept saying to my wife, Julia, I got to get a golf ball. I got to find somewhere to go get a golf ball when we go get groceries. Let's do that. And then the day would catch up with me, and I wouldn't do it. So I'm going on like 3 weeks, and one day I said, we were getting into the car and we were getting ready to leave. And in our apartment or our condo, you drive down the ramp to exit the building, and then when you get to the bottom, this garage door opens up really slowly. So I'm talking about how I need to get a golf ball. And mind you, I'm in the middle of Chicago. It's, a big concrete jungle. And as the garage door is opening, I turn to Julie and I look, and right on the ground in front of me is a shiny new golf ball just sitting in the exit of the garage door. And I looked at her, I go, "Look what is on the sidewalk." And she goes, "What? I can't see anything." I go, "Look down at the little white ball on the sidewalk." She goes, "Is that a golf ball?" And I said, "That's a golf ball." And I ran outside, I picked it up, and it was a brand new Titleist golf ball. And I just got in the car and I just started laughing. I go, I can't believe that, this was provided to me. He heard my cries and he answered it. Now, you can think that's stupid, it's trivial, but to me, you didn't go through the process I went through and how this thing appeared where it did. So I think God can speak to us in small ways and let us know he's there. He loves us. He wants us to have a relationship with him. Another one I had was I had a foot reconstruction. I had a tendon in my foot that wasn't functioning properly. It's called accessory navicular. And what it is the tendon's attached to the wrong bone in the foot. So to make a long story short, it just kept hurting. And over time, the doctor says, 90% of the people that have this live with it and they don't have any problems. But since you were active and beat it up all your life, it's starting to aggravate you. It's starting to pull and the tendon's getting frayed, and you might have to have a procedure done to literally cut the tendon off and reattach it to the bone and let it heal and be on your way. So I was told it'd be a 10 to 12 weeks on a crutches or a knee scooter. And then after that, I would start rehab and walking on it and so forth. So I had the surgery and they cut the tendon, cut off the bone, reattached the tendon to the proper bone. And then I also had a broken toe from when I was younger in martial arts. I kicked a guy in the elbow and broke my toe, and it never healed right. So my toe needed to be, basically the joint needed to be resurfaced because my toe wouldn't bend. It was pretty much like a stiff board. So I also had that done. And at that point in my life, I was older. I was in, my 50s. And my foot, as time went on, just wasn't getting better. It was constantly swelling. It would just kill me. So we get up about to week 10, and I can't even think of putting any weight on my foot. It's so bad. And the doctor says, well, sometimes it takes people a little longer. You're older. Let's give it a few more weeks. So he gives me a few more weeks, go back to the same thing. My foot is it's trash. It's not getting any better. So I wait longer. I wait actually 3 months, nothing, or 4 months, nothing happens. My foot's still swollen. It's still extremely painful. 5 months, I go back to the doctor, said, Doc, I don't know what's going on here. So he does an MRI and he says, your foot looks fine. We just don't know what it is, but just maybe it needs a little more time. So I'm going on 6 months now of not being able to walk. I'm on a knee scooter and I would sleep at night and my foot would just get these like searing pains that would run through it, like someone was stabbing me with a knife in it. And it was just extremely swollen and I got really depressed. And I just started looking down at my foot and thinking, I really don't even want this foot anymore. I want to just cut it off and I'll put a prosthesis on. It was so bad. And I thought 6 months and it actually is getting worse. And so I broke down in the kitchen one day and I just started talking to God over and over again and ask him to help me figure this out. And then I would get quiet and I wouldn't hear anything. And I'm praying and I'm praying. I'm saying, God, please help me. I need my foot fixed. Please, I can't take this anymore. I ask you to help me. And I was just doing it over and over again, literally about 20 minutes. And about 25 or so minutes in, all of a sudden a flash appears in my mind. And it's an ultrasound machine. And it's a tool that I had that I stopped using for years. I forgot I even had it. And I saw the image of this thing spinning in my mind, like it was placed there and someone put it on a display and was just spinning it like this. And I went, holy cow, is that it? Is that what I need to do? So I I went into my closet. I had this closet full of what I call my therapy stuff. And I pulled this thing out. And I turned it on and I started using it on my foot. And I used it one time. And when I finished, my foot, it felt like the pain had subsided a little bit. And I had done it at about 6 o'clock at night. And I iced my foot. I went to bed. And when I woke up in the morning, I went to put my foot on the ground to walk on it. And I had looked down at my foot and about 80% of the swelling was gone. And I just looked at it and I was shocked. And it was the first time I was able to put weight on it with no pain. And I took several steps and I was ecstatic. I couldn't believe that my foot was so much better in such a short period of time. And at that point I had remembered I have a really bad right knee. And probably about 2 years ago, I went to the doctor because it just keeps getting worse and worse. And the doctor said, you've developed pseudo-gout in it. And what pseudo-gout is, it's calcium crystals in the joint. And they crystallize. And they cause a lot of friction and stress on the bones and on the tendons and things like that. And it's very, very painful, and it swells up and it gets bright red. So when I went back to the doctor, he looked at it, he goes, wow, your foot is so much better. I go, Doc, this is from one use of an ultrasound machine. It's gotten better since then, but 80% better in one shot. I said, could it be that I had pseudo gout in my foot from the surgery, and the ultrasound machine helped neutralize those crystals? And he said, well, it's heat and it goes deep in the joint. I don't know, maybe that could have been what done it. But in my opinion, that is what did it, and that's why I was able to walk. But I'm just letting you know that I would have never gotten healed from that had I not really broken down and asked God to show me or speak to me or heal me with the problem that I was having with my foot. So without a doubt, it was unequivocally that device that helped my foot. So I just wanted to tell you about these stories, because I think it's really important that everybody tries to hear the voice of God. And remember, could be a little vision, a thought that pops in your head. Maybe if you're one of the lucky ones where you hear an audible voice, then that's awesome. But just know that if you have anything in life you're struggling with, just always pray and ask for God's guidance in that matter. All right, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you soon.